NFL Week 5 already here. Hard to believe it, but as I always say, once it gets here, it goes quickly. But we got a great slate, I think, coming up this week. A lot of kind of mysterious teams still. We're going to touch on the Jags, who sit at 3-1. No one really saw that coming. Patriots at 2-2, and what feels like could be a breakthrough game for them if they're able to beat the Bills on Sunday night. The Eagles have been the heart of the discussion through a lot of the media this week, even though they're sitting at 4-0. A lot of concerns about that squad. So a lot to talk about this week. We missed last week due to some travel schedules. We just couldn't get it lined up, but we are back this week, ready to rock and roll. Kev, welcome back. How are we? And hard to believe, already October and week 5.
Yeah, pretty much a quarter of the way through the season. So really looking forward to these 5 games this weekend.
Yeah, never like to hear that. I was looking at some of the college football teams earlier, and it's like teams are 5-0 heading into their 6th game of the season, halfway done already. It's like, what the hell? How are we already at this point? But here we are. We still got football. We still got plenty of it to go. We'll start on Thursday night this week. 49ers at 3-1. It does not look like Brock Purdy will be playing. They will be traveling to the Rams, 3-1 on a short week here, 8:15 on Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. Rams 7.5 or 7-point favorite over under 46.5. This one opened up with a 3.5-point favorite in favor of the Rams, but now with it looking like Brock Purdy's not playing, that number's up to 7. Sounds like Mac Jones will be in the mix. What are your thoughts on this matchup, Kev?
Yeah, this one's pretty simple. I think the Niners are just so banged up. It's a short week. No Purdy, no Pearsall, no Jennings. The team's already without Kittle, Bosa, Ayuk, and a starting guard on the offensive line. And then the Rams have been really impressive this year, going 3-1 against the spread so far, including 2-0 at home. Stafford's also been playing so well. He's currently second in the league in passing yards, and he has the 3rd most TDs. And then obviously throwing to Nakua and Adams helps, as they're both just off to super hot starts as well. And then the Rams defense is 3rd in the league in sacks, so I think they can absolutely get after Mac Jones in this game. I think the Niners are just too banged up, and the Rams offense is playing extremely well right now. So I'm going Rams covering 33-23 over 46.5.
Yeah, you outlined it. A tough spot for this 49ers team. A lot of injuries their way, a lot of on a short week. There's a lot of points, though, in a divisional matchup. It's hard for me to say either of these teams is going to have a dominating performance in one way or the other. Anytime you're in a divisional matchup between two teams that know each other so well, I don't care who's out there. These coaching staffs know each other inside and out. I think the 49ers are able to keep it close and within the number. I really like this Rams team. Obviously, they're a fluke field goal or a block field goal away against the Eagles from being undefeated right now. But still, the 49ers, even with all the injuries, they've been finding ways to win. And Mac Jones proved that he could be somewhat competent in this Kyle Shanahan system. I like the 49ers to keep this one close and within that 7 points, especially on a short week here in the division. But I do like the Rams to win this one. I'm going to go 27-21 Rams. So 49ers plus 7 over 46.5. But I think just the way that these two coaching staffs with Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay knowing each other pretty much inside and out on a short week, division matchup, as we know, a lot of these players know each other. Know each other's systems inside and out. It's just a spot for me. I think that the 49ers are able to keep it within that number. 7 points is a lot in the NFL. They lose by 6. I'm walking out of there happy, man. So give me Rams 27-21 in that one. All right, we'll go to Sunday now, where we have 3 games to break down, and then we'll be breaking down the Monday night game as well as our touchdown parlay, our dog of the day, and our lock of the week. But Sunday, we start at 1. With the 2-2 Broncos making the cross-country trip to play the Philadelphia Eagles at 4-0, one of 2 remaining undefeated teams left. 1 o'clock kick here on CBS. Eagles only a 3.5-point favorite, though, over under 43.5. That number opened at 5.5, but the Broncos had a pretty convincing win on Monday Night Football. That number moved a little bit. Thoughts on that, Kev?
Yeah, I'm going the Eagles winning this one 27-23, so they cover the 3.5 over 43.5. It obviously hasn't looked super pretty for the Eagles, and they haven't played a complete game yet. But like you said, they're 4-0, and they've been playing good teams, though, too. The Cowboys they beat, who are having a pretty prolific offense this year. The Chiefs are absolute Super Bowl contenders. The Rams are absolute Super Bowl contenders, and same can be said about the Bucs. And every week I feel like before the Eagles game, I just think of a million ways that they could lose, and just for different reasons. And then just every week they don't. So I'm not picking against them until I'm forced to. The offensive struggles are not going to probably get right in this game going up against the Broncos defense that's been playing very, very good. And they were supposed to be very good coming into the season. They're allowing only 16.8 points per game. And then the Broncos as a team did have a get right game last week against the Bengals. The offense and defense both looked super good. Bo Nix did throw the ball 42 times in that game, which I don't know if that's a recipe for success for this team, but maybe it is because he's thrown the ball at least 40 times twice this year, and those are the Broncos' 2 wins, albeit those games were against the Bengals and Titans. I'm not going to say the Eagles are going to play a great game here, but I do think they can find a way to win the game like they've just done for the past year. So I'm going Eagles winning this one in a pretty close game.
Very comfortable and very confident with the Eagles in this matchup. I'm almost as confident and comfortable to take them in the survivor pool, but 2 of the 3 next weeks, they have the New York Giants on the schedule, so I'm going to save them for a couple more opportunities here down the line. But I love the Eagles in this spot with the Broncos traveling from West Coast to East Coast for a 1:00 kick, off a short week, having played on Monday Night Football. I think this is an ideal spot here for Philadelphia. Philadelphia coming back home after a pretty tough second half last week against the Bucs, but still, they've looked good in spurts, and they've been able to play one really good half, and then they'll play a down half. They'll play a bad half, then they'll play a really good half, and so on. They just need one of these games to kind of put it all together, and I think put a lot of people to sleep with some of these nonsense takes. I think this team finding a way to start 4-0 after last year starting 2-2 and having a lot of questions, especially with the offense and the defense last year, both coming into this game. The defense hasn't been a question. Really, it's a lot of it's been on the offense. And shout out to the special teams. They've been great as well. But to start out 4-0 in the National Football League is not an easy thing to do. One of only 2 teams here, with the Bills being the only other team undefeated this season, and A.J. Brown hasn't got going yet. Devontae Smith has had some moments but hasn't really taken off yet. Saquon Barkley hasn't taken off yet. The offensive line has really struggled, and still to find a way to 4-0, you get a home game here with an AFC team coming across the country. Everything kind of points to the Eagles in this one, and just continuing to get a little bit better every week, each and every week. I think that's the main goal for this Eagles team, and then to be playing your best ball down the stretch, which we saw them do last year in the NFC Championship and the Super Bowl. Obviously, they're two most important games, but the best 2 games that they played in as well, putting up a 55-piece and a 40-piece. As long as you continue to progress and get better and better and find ways to win here at this stage of the season, that's all that matters. So I like the Eagles just continue and find ways to win with Jalen Hurts. And I'm going to take them to win this one 31-20. So Eagles minus 3.5. And I will go over 43.5 in this one as well. A.J. Brown, 100 yards and a touchdown in this one. I think that they get them going. All right, we go to Sunday afternoon. A very interesting matchup here for me. 2 teams that I think can be contenders with the Eagles there at the top of the NFC. The 3-1 Bucs at the 3-1 Seahawks. 4:05 kick on CBS. Seahawks 2.5-point favorite. Over under 44.5.
I'm going Bucs winning 23-21. Bucs plus 3.5 and under 44.5. I have not watched a ton of Seahawks football this year, but I'm always going to be taking Baker over Darnold. Both defenses are pretty good and will limit the big plays, I think, in this one. And then I think it's just going to come down to which QB can make more plays and then also limit their mistakes. And I think I'm just going to go with Baker there. And even if they do get down early, I feel confident enough that he could lead a comeback, where I just don't feel that same way about Sam Darnold. And then both defenses, like I said, are very good. They're both very good at limiting the run. Each team is currently holding opposing offenses under 90 rushing yards a game. And again, I think this favors Baker and the Bucs as he's able to create offense more through his arm. And then Tampa's defense of conversion rate on third down is 33%, third best in the NFL. So they're getting off the field while Seattle is sitting at 18th in that stat. So I'm going Bucs winning a close one on the road here.
I'm buying stock in the Seattle Seahawks team, man. I think it's time. We have over a year sample size now to admit that Sam Darnold is good. I was never the biggest Sam Darnold fan, especially coming out of the draft, and I was running some victory laps over the first few years of his career. But I think we have a year worth sample size now that he's a pretty good quarterback and probably one of the top 10 to 12 quarterbacks in the entire NFL. And when you have a really good receiver like JSN, you have a really good running back in Kenneth Walker, and what I think is an elite defense flying around with a really good defensive head coach and Mike McDonald. And then you combine that with one of the best home field advantages in the entire league. I think this is a Seahawks team that we look up at the end of the year, wins 11 to 12 games potentially. And is a real threat there to win the NFC West. And when you're a team like that, when you're a team getting this kind of praise like that I'm giving them right now, I think that you find ways to win these games at home. And I know it's usually the West Coast team traveling East Coast is at the disadvantage, but it's a really tough spot for that Tampa Bay team who just played up on a Philadelphia Eagles team. And anytime you play the best team in the league, I think you kind of leave that one a little hobbled. They're still without Mike Evans. Now you're traveling all the way across the country. Probably I would be surprised if this wasn't the furthest game in the entire country, going from Tampa Bay all the way out to Seattle. I think that's a huge travel there. I like the Seahawks to get this one done, but Bucs always find a way to kind of keep it close, keep fighting at the end. If they get down early, you never can rule them out. We saw them make a last-ditch effort there against the Eagles last week, so I will take the Bucs plus 2.5, but I do like the Seahawks win. I'm going to go 24-23 Seattle, Bucs plus 2.5 over 44.5. All right, Sunday night. Interested to see how this one unfolds with the Patriots at 2-2 at the Bills 4-0. 8:20 kick on Sunday Night Football on NBC. Bills minus 7.5 over under 49.5. We've dealt with a few years in a row now of the Patriots kind of being irrelevant. I feel like if they're able to find a way to go to Buffalo and knock off the undefeated Bills, people are going to really start to take this team seriously. They've been up and down, a little inconsistent, but that goes to show you with a new head coach and a young quarterback. Do you think that they can put it together on Sunday night and have any chance to beat the Bills, Kev?
I don't. I didn't even really think about this one. I'm going Bills 30, Pats 20. Bills cover the 7.5 over 49.5. The Bills defense definitely has some questions and concerns, but ultimately they had Josh Allen playing QB. I think this could be close for 3 quarters and the Pats be in the game, but then I think it will just come down to a point where Josh Allen kind of decides he's the best player on the field, and then ultimately the Bills do end up covering the pretty large 7.5. The Pats are having a pretty nice season, like you said, and I think people should really be encouraged by Drake May. But I just don't think the whole team and the whole roster as a whole is in the same class as the Bills. And the Bills have been horrible against the run this year, and that could make things interesting. But at the end of the day, like I said, I'm just going to pick Josh Allen to win this game.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Kev. I didn't really think about this one much either. I think that the Bills are head and shoulder better than the Patriots team. I think the Patriots all year are going to be a team that they beat up on some of these inferior teams, and then when they play some of these big dogs, that they struggle and they find their way 9-8, maybe sneak into the playoffs. But I like the Bills to roll in this one, dominate, kind of show this young quarterback Drake May what it's like to play the king of the conference potentially, but the king of the division for sure here in the Buffalo Bills. I like them to win this one at home Sunday Night Football. One of the best atmospheres in the entire NFL. I like them to cover that 7.5 pretty easily. I'll go 31-17. So Bills minus 7.5, and we'll go under 49.5 there. Bills, say what you want about them, if they're bulletproof or not. That defense is a little bit of a question mark. But this is a situation where I think that at home, the environment, everything kind of in between, we see a little bit more of the flaws of this Patriots team and how they really don't have kind of that top-end talent. And when you play a really good team like the Bills, I think you get exposed in that regard. So give me the Bills to win and to cover there. All right, Monday Night Football, Chiefs 2-2, got rolling. It seemed like last week against the Ravens. They'll play the 3-1 Jags, one of the surprises of the league, 8:15 on ESPN. Chiefs, 3.5-point favorite, over-under is 45.5.
I'm going Chiefs winning 27-23. Chiefs cover the 2.5 over 45.5. I don't trust the Jags literally at all. The Chiefs started to look like the Chiefs last week, and while I'm not expecting them to score 37 this week, I think they can absolutely beat the Jags. A big part of the Jags' success so far this season has been turnovers. They have 13 takeaways in 4 games, which is by far the most in the league. And then also super positive, they've only turned the ball over 4 times. But the Chiefs have been better on not turning the ball over. They've only turned it over 1 time this year. So it's not like they're just going to be handing the Jags the ball, giving them good field position, giving up possessions. So also the Chiefs have won 8 straight against the Jags, and then they're 17-3 straight up in their last 20 versus AFC opponents. I think the Jags offense just doesn't have enough to win this game because I think they're pretty much an average offense at best. Their defense has kind of been what's been pulling them through this year. And then the defense, I think, is maybe potentially getting a little lucky with all those turnovers. So I'm going the Chiefs winning this one and kind of reasserting themselves back at the top of the AFC.
Yeah, last week the Chiefs really got it going, and I think we saw probably what signs to come, especially once Rice gets back. But you had Worthy back in the mix last week. That team was able to put up 37 points last week, and they committed to the run. They didn't run it that well, but still they committed to it. 32 carries for 118 yards, kept the Ravens honest in that regard. And Patrick Mahomes was able to go 25 of 37 for 270 yards and 4 touchdowns. Looked like the old Mahomes, had one of his best games I can remember, at least in the regular season, in quite some time. Look at his numbers over the past year or so. They haven't been that great, but that was one of kind of the vintage Mahomes performances. He went out there, played really well. Worthy had 2 carries for 38 yards, but then he had 5 catches for 83 yards. His speed adds such a different element to this offense. Rice coming back soon, as you touched on, Kevin. This is a Chiefs team that is slowly and surely going to be working themselves back to the top of the AFC. And in what could be a 2-horse race, you look at the Ravens with the Lamar injury. I don't think anyone's really taking them that seriously right now. The Bills obviously sitting there undefeated. The Chargers last week lose to the Giants. Who knows about that situation? But I think we're going to be looking up probably in January with the Chiefs versus Bills AFC Championship yet again. But if the Chiefs can get this offense rolling and get this offense humming again, that's going to be a scary sight, because as we know, that defense has been really good under Spagnuolo over these past few seasons. With all that pressure, with all those blitzes that he brings, this Chiefs team can be very dangerous if that offense gets moving again and they're not just squeaking by 20-17, 21-16, stuff like that. I'm looking forward to the Chiefs getting kind of back to their winning ways going forward, and I like them to win this one, -3.5 too. And I will go, -2.5. I'll go 30-24. Chiefs win this one. All right, our final picks of the week: touchdown parlay, dog of the day, our favorite underdog, and our lock of the week. Touchdown parlay, we always pick a primetime player and then a Sunday afternoon guy. I'll start it off with my Sunday afternoon leg. I'm going to go Jalen Hurts, -150, a little bit juiced up there, but he doesn't score last week. I think it's rare that we don't see him score in back-to-back games. Last week, we saw the Eagles kind of get a little creative within the 5-yard line. I think that this week they probably go back to their bread and butter. Jalen Hurts, -150 for a touchdown.
Yeah, my first pick, I'm going the primetime game. I'm going James Cook, -215. We already talked about the Bills game. I think they're going to put up some points on the Pats. So James Cook to score a touchdown, -215.
My primetime game, I'm going to go Travis Etienne, +140. I was talking about him earlier, but Travis Etienne, I think, has been one of the more pleasant surprises in the entire NFL this year. He's got his burst back, got his speed back, and Liam Cohen's finding some creative ways to use it. So I like Travis Etienne to find himself in the end zone this week, +140.
Yeah, my early player TD is Justin Fields, +135. I just don't think the Cowboys defense is not good at all. And then Justin Fields has kind of shown that he's a very good runner. So I think he ends up getting in the end zone here.
All right. And that touchdown parlay of James Cook, Travis Etienne, Jalen Hurts, and Justin Fields, that gives you a +1240 payout there. So $10 bet on that one wins you a little north of 130. So good luck if you're placing that wager. All right, time for our dog of the day. Nothing really was jumping off the board to me this week. Nothing crazy, but for the sake of our picks, I'm going to go with the Panthers, +1.5 at home against the Dolphins. As I said, not many games that were really jumping off the board to me this week for underdogs. So I'm going to go with a team at home against the Dolphins team that I think the reason why they won last week, to put it quite frank, was they played the New York Jets. Don't really buy much into that win, especially with Tyreek out now. Panthers +1.5. They're up and down. It seems like every week with Bryce Young, he'll look awesome. Some weeks he'll look absolutely terrible. I'm going to take a shot in the dark here with them at home against the Dolphins, plus money.
My dog of the day, Giants +1.5 in New Orleans against the Saints. I think Jackson Dart is able to do kind of just what he did last week, and then the Giants D-line is going to be able to get after Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, I think Rattler is now 0-10 as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Not great. Lock of the week, our favorite bet of the week. Another one where nothing really was crazy jumping off the page to me. If I usually try to pick a play that wasn't involved in our big 5 games of the week. I was tempted to pick the Eagles -3.5, but to take something that wasn't part of that, I'm going to go with Cardinals Titans under 41.5. Cam Ward said last week after the game to keep it a buck. We asked right now. Doesn't seem like there's much confidence in that offense, in that offensive line. And even last week, they get shut out 26-0 against the Texans. The defense, I think, still is decent enough to keep this Cardinals offense under control. And now the Cardinals are without Trey Benson and James Conner at the running back spot. Kyler is going to be forced to throw the ball a lot, and that offensive passing game has not been clicking for sure. So with the Cardinals' offensive issues, with the Titans' offensive issues, and Cam Ward really seemingly not having much faith in his team right now, I think that one's a really ugly game, like a 17-13 type of ball game. So Cardinals, Titans, under 41.5 for my lock of the week.
My lock of the week, I'm going Vikings minus 4.5 versus the Browns in London. I think Brian Flores is just going to have Dylan Gabriel confused all day, and Carson Wentz does enough to cover 4.5.
Yeah, I really like that one as well. As long as Wentz doesn't turn the football over, easier said than done. I think Brian Flores is going to put Dylan Gabriel in some fits this week. But that'll do it for NFL Big 5 games of the week. The Week 5 edition, hard to believe, already done. Already breaking down Week 5, but here we go into October, where I think we start to separate some of these teams from legit to the fraud. So thank you everyone for tuning in. As always, keep it locked here on PickSwap Media. Please like, please subscribe, and we'll be talking to you next week.